This episode of 86 That is brought to you by Nanami Sushi Bar and Grill. If you're looking for the freshest sushi and authentic Japanese flavors just up the road in Austin, Nanami is the spot for you. From classic rolls to chef specials, it's perfect for a night out, date night, or just treating yourself. They're family owned, passionate about quality, and we're proud to have them supporting the show. So next time you're craving sushi, head to Nanami Sushi Bar and Grill. Check out their menu at nanamisushi.com and tell them that 86 That sent you. Once again, thank you to Nanami Sushi Bar and Grill for sponsoring this episode of our podcast. What are you doing right now? What are you doing right now, Nathan?
He's devouring the candy.
Show me that bar again.
That thing is bigger than your mouth.
Why is it the size of your head?
It's not a king size. It's a triple XL bar.
You don't even break it apart? You don't break it like into little bits? You just take and bite? Oh, my Lord.
Welcome to the 86 That podcast, where 5 college filmmakers sit down with a special guest each episode. Directors, writers, producers, actors, and other creatives shaping the industry to talk movies, the creative process, and the ups and downs of making their work. Follow us on Instagram at the 86 That podcast for episode highlights, exclusive bonus clips, and even the chance to ask questions to future guests. We appreciate you tuning in and hope you enjoy.
I have an introduction for you, Marie. I typed out a whole thing. I got a paragraph for you. Okay, you ready?
I'm terrified.
Our guest today, and our first ever guest on this podcast, is a recent Texas State graduate. She's a filmmaker and content creator who has worked on a number of student and independent projects during her time at Texas State. She's produced short films such as Sunny Afternoon, Shelter, Bingo, Dia Tomato, and You're Smackin'. She also shot and directed a 4-minute experimental short film called Blue, which has now reached 17,000 views on YouTube.
Oh, congratulations.
Wow,
Her directing credits include the action comedy web series Super Bad Kinda Good, the very touching drama short film The Children Are Listening, and the Texas State Film Program's first ever musical thesis short film with an entirely original soundtrack called Office Break. Please welcome Marie Bargraser. Marie!
Oh, my goodness.
Hi, wow, thank you so much. I do feel it's important to note that I technically haven't graduated. So if anyone's out there listening, technically,
You walked the stage.
I am
though.
still a student.
You
I
walked
did walk the stage. I did.
I didn't know that. What's the story with that?
So basically, my last semester, I was doing 21 hours, which isn't
Oh.
allowed without approval. So
That's
technically,
crazy.
that's not what I was doing. So there's a loophole to this if anyone's wondering.
Interesting.
So what I was doing was I was taking 18 hours. And for that last class, it was an incomplete that I was still working on. So technically, I was doing 21 without having to ask for approval. But I did not complete that incomplete. So I am now in U.S. literature currently.
Well, you know
Online.
what?
Like fully asynchronous?
No, it is synchronous, unfortunately,
Oh,
but that's
man.
okay.
Oh, man.
But I mean, you're now graduated, and I think you started in high school, film stuff. Yeah. Was there a movie or a TV show or like a specific moment that made you realize like this is what I want to do?
Absolutely. And it's Stranger Things. That's definitely, that was the tipping point for me. I did theater since middle school, so I was always into theater and performing arts. Even when I was a kid, I liked performance arts. I just didn't realize it fully, I don't think. But yeah, then I started really thinking, what am I going to do with my career? What am I going to do with my future? You know, what am I going to do in college? All those things. But and then COVID happened. Like most people, I just started binge watching TV because what else is there to do when you're inside and locked up? Like, what else are you doing? I guess except making sourdough bread, but I was never on that trend. So I was always just watching stuff. And then I watched Stranger Things for the first time. At that point, the first 3 seasons were already out. So I wasn't watching the show as it rolled out. I watched almost all of it in one go. But that was definitely the show I was like, okay, that's what I want to do for a living. And then I changed up my applications from applying for math, applied math, all that, to applying to film.
Wow.
Nice.
And then you
Yeah,
met Paul
that was-
Reiser.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did meet Paul Reiser. Paul Reiser does not remember me at all, but I do have a photo with him.
Was that at Waco? Where was that at?
That was in the Austin Film Festival.
Like 2 years ago.
Wow.
You mentioned that you started in theater. I was wondering,
Yeah.
are there still any strings attached to theater for you? Like, are you still wanting to do that at all? Or are you, full bore, film?
Yes, that's a great question. Yeah, I feel like anything performance arts based, I'm always gonna love and I'm always gonna want to be a part of it. I've been craving it lately, especially leaving school and feeling like there's not a lot of creative outlets that are as easily accessible in a way. Like I can't just be making films now or hopping on people's film sets because I don't really know people in the Houston area film scene as much. Whereas like, you know, if you're in San Mo or you're in Austin, there's always something happening. You can always kind of plug yourself in. But I don't know. So now I've been really craving trying to get back to some type of creative space. And I do miss theater because it is different. I love film a lot, don't get me wrong, but there's something different about live theater where you walk in and you're working on the same thing for months and months and months, and then you leave it all on the stage for however long your performances are, and then you're done. And that's it. It's not a lasting product. I mean, sure, you can have your play filmed, but that's not how it was meant to be experienced. With film, when you film it, that's how it's meant to be experienced, is that final product. But with a live theater show, it's meant to be experienced live. And there's nothing like it. I feel like for people that play sports, I don't know. I'm not an athlete, never been an athlete. I feel like there's a adrenaline rush that comes with maybe right before you play a game. With a live show, there's this adrenaline, especially with musicals, because I love musicals. There's this adrenaline rush that comes when the overture's playing and the orchestra's playing this overture. That's essentially almost like a mashup of every song in the show, and everyone's backstage, and you're like hyped, and everyone's in costume. The makeup is fresh, everything's fresh, and you know that there's an audience behind the curtain, and you know that everyone's there to see what you have to offer, and the next hour and a half is just like a whoosh of time, and
Yeah.
it's like you black out, but it's also really fun.
Yeah.
So I do miss that a lot. I do want to go back to that.
You can very clearly see the theatrical influences in the production design of Office Break. You're shooting in this kind of close this space. People are pantomiming the props. You can see, every layer of the set. There's no like buildings. There's no walls or anything. You're not going for realism. You're putting it all on the actors. You're expecting the audience to believe what they're doing and let that kind of paint the full picture of the setting and the production design. Was that intentional? Did you intend when you were writing and making Office Break for it to have that aesthetic, or did you have to kind of lean on that just because of the circumstances you were in?
The latter. It was not intentionally written and created to have that much theatricality. It was always meant to have theatricality in the sense of, okay, we're going to have choreography, we're going to have music, we're going to have things that are simply not believable from a realism perspective. It was always intended to have a theatrical element, but not that much to where there aren't even walls and we are in a black box theater space. That was definitely because we could not get the location that we wanted. John knows that. He was producing on it and sending a million emails, making a ton of phone calls. So yeah, we could not get an actual office space, which was the intention. And after that, we thought we had one, and then that fell through, and we didn't have a lot of time to get a new location if we still wanted to make the film. And I had seen how hard John had seen how hard it was for us to get the one location we thought we had. And so I thought to myself, there's no way we're going to get another one. That was the one. There's no way we're going to get another one. So there's no point in looking for more office spaces. Where else can this film happen? And it was such a short turnaround for me to change anything in the script. I didn't want to change it story-wise. I didn't want it to be like, let me just change their careers from working in an office to something else, because that was so integral for me to keep in. So I was like, well, you know what? This is already unbelievable. Might as well lean into that. Let's look for a theater space. And then we went hardcore and looked for a theater space, found one. And then because we were in the theater space, I didn't want to convince anyone we were in an office. You can do that in a play. You can't do that in a film. You can't just shoot somewhere and tell people, yeah, pretend it's this though, because that's not the medium that we're working with. Unless you're making something, I don't know, experimental or something crazy. But that also wasn't where we were. So I kind of was like, all right, well, we already have a lot of theatrical elements in it. We're just going to full send lean into it because we're not going to get an office. We have a theater space now. So let's work with it because we're not fooling anybody. So what can we do to make it look like this was an intentional choice to begin with?
Yeah. And I'm very well aware there's logistical issues because I freaking produced the thing. But creatively, just strictly creatively, as the director, what was the hardest thing about Office Break? Like, was it writing the script? Was it recasting? What part? Not non-logistically, non-producer side.
Oh, wow. I don't actually think anyone's asking this question. I think not logistically, probably trying to, once we had the location locked and we had the cast relocked and everything, that was about 7 days before we actually shot. So I think the hardest part was, when you're directing a film, you have to communicate what the vision is to your team so that they can know what to do. And when you tell everyone that the location is completely different, there are a lot of questions, but there's only 7 days. So I think balancing my time and trying to effectively communicate to everybody what the vision change was hard, especially because I didn't fully know what that vision change was because we had just made this decision. We had just found a new location. So very valid that, all these people have questions. Your DP is going to have questions, your PD is going to have questions. Everyone's going to have questions as to, well, what does that mean for my department? What does that mean for how we're going to work together to make this script come to life? But it was really hard because I'm trying to, okay, like I need to rehearse with these actors because we have only so many days before we start. And then also like, okay, well, we also need to make sure that this is set. And I don't know, I was still also making minor changes to the script. So I think, I wasn't even sure what the vision was entirely. I had an idea, but there were so many things I didn't know yet. And trying to communicate things that you don't even have an answer to people that are asking the question, like I
Yeah.
didn't really know what to say a lot of the time. So I was kind of just winging it. So I think as far as non-logistical, it really was just trying to communicate a vision that I didn't even have fully pieced together so that we could show up and have an idea of what we were doing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Where can we find Office Break?
Is it still in post?
For like people that are watching.
It is still in post right now, but it will be available sometime in the future.
And I have had many questions from people wondering when the music from Office Break will be streaming.
The music will stream once the film is public, so everything will go public at the same time.
Okay.
Is that this year or is that next year?
It will be a 2026 activity.
Woo!
Sounds good.
Okay.
Cool,
Something to look forward to.
I think your work is genuinely really inspiring because, I mean, first-hand experience working with you for the children who are listening, and then also just hearing about Office Break and the challenges that you had to face that were not expected, and there was nothing you could do about those challenges that you faced. What's your mindset going into when those things happen, actually, that you just don't have any control over, and now you've got to deal with it? What kind of mindset do you have when you face those challenges?
I think two things. One is if something doesn't turn out, it's because there's something better, but that's like not enough to sustain you when it's actually happening to you. I think every time I'm on a film set, or any type of creative thing, even if it's a staged show, every time something doesn't work out the way it's intended, something better always comes along. And afterwards, we're always like, that was crazy. Like, I can't imagine what the show would have been like without it. This really made the film different in a way we never would have expected. So I always had that thought. But, then it was happening to me, and I was like, that's crazy. But my biggest thing was, I'm not going to not make the film. It's going to happen. So to me, it felt like, and I don't agree with this. I don't think that not making something means that you failed. But at the time, I was like, if I don't make this, that means I failed. For me, I would have taken it as a personal failure. And I don't think that, for other people and other projects in life ever. I think sometimes, you think a window's open and it's actually closed, or it just closes on you unexpectedly, and that's completely fine. But in the moment, I was like, absolutely not. I'm not going to be. There were 6 projects in the class, in that thesis class when we made Office Break. And I was like, I'm not about to show up to this thesis screening where I was in the class supposed to make a film and not make it. Because why? Like, I just feel like I can. Like, why not? And then I had especially when you have a support team, I had the best crew and cast, honestly. Like, if it was not for the people I had, it would not have been possible. So, I don't know. I think it was so much in my mind, which probably isn't healthy, but it was so much in my mind that it would have been a personal failure if I didn't do it. So I was like, I said I was going to do it, so I will. I think what I said to myself and what I said to other people, I had a lot of value in my word, I guess. And I was like, if I said I was gonna make it, I'm gonna make it. And until there's absolutely no possible way in this world, unless I die or I get hit by a bus and then I'm hospitalized, but I'm not hospitalized, so we're gonna make the movie.
I was going to ask, I saw that this is a little bit separate from the Office Break, but I saw that you put your title in as content creator for the episode. Is this like a new direction you're going towards? Because I watched a lot of your a lot of your projects today. So and I really like the Batman one. I had not seen that one prior to today.
LOL.
And but I don't know if there's gonna be more like content related to that type of thing or so forth.
I don't know about more like the Batman specifically. That's so funny that you saw that. But yeah, it's new. I'm not a content creator now. Definitely not. At the time that we're filming this episode, I wouldn't be like, introducing myself to people and going, yeah, I'm a content creator. But I do want to create content. I want to do more short form things. I think I get in my head a lot about big scale projects and longer length things that I'm not able to do at the time. And then I just end up in this rut where I don't make anything. And I'm like, that's not productive to myself or anybody. How am I supposed to do anything? So I do want to move into short form content just to keep the creative ball rolling. Me and Carter were talking about this recently,
Yeah.
actually,
No, we
leaning more
did.
into short form just
Yep.
because it's
Hmm.
fun. I don't know. And I think like post grad, I don't want to say I'm in a quarter life crisis, but like I'm definitely having a lot of thoughts and like redirection of things and being like, who cares? Genuinely, I thought I was keeping my social media like, professional. And I say that with air quotes. I realize no one can see this when they hear this, but in air quotes, professional. It's like, okay, let me keep it clean and it'll be like a nice pathway. And I'm like, pathway to what? Who's watching my Instagram? Literally nobody. My friends and who else? No one cares. Who in the professional world is actually looking at my Instagram? Literally nobody. So
Yeah.
why do I care? It feels like when when I took theater for the first time, I remember the moment we had like a small stage in our class. It was probably like 8 inches tall. And that's where we would perform all of our stuff. And I remember the exact moment I was in sixth grade and I was on that stage and I was auditioning to read a poem for. We were doing the play Where the Sidewalk Ends, and it's essentially just a
Uh,
compilation of poems,
mhm.
and everyone has different poems. And I was auditioning for this poem, and I realized that my best auditions were when I did not care what other people thought, because there's a certain level of letting yourself go and making choices, and if it's the wrong choice then it's the wrong choice, but at least you made a choice. So I remember that moment so vividly because it's what changed both my artistic life and my life in general. And I feel like I'm going back to that now where I'm like, it doesn't matter, like it really doesn't matter. Why am I, I don't know, just make a choice, just post something on social media. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah, make something, anything. No, and yeah, but going back to that conversation, we talked a little bit about that stuff, and I actually talked to one of my professors today, and we talked about vertical content and stuff like that, and and that kind of reminded me about the conversation we had, and I was like, oh, maybe I should make some stuff myself. And then and you were talking about other things like building other hobbies and stuff like that, and so I wanted to bring back into the conversation. You told me you were trying to knit. You were doing some knitting. Have you been able to do some knitting at all?
Ain't no way you just asked that question, man.
Well,
No way.
I'm trying to bring up casual conversation here, okay? I'm not trying to beat the dead horse. The horse is very much alive, which is Office Breaks, and it's a great film, and I love it so much.
So, Marie, I
But-
know that you don't care what other people think of you, but I want to know more about your knitting.
He's
I
really
just am
interested in the
trying to
knitting.
ask
He's
about
really
the
interesting
knitting.
in your
How is that
knitting.
going? Is it good?
I haven't knitted in years,
Oh.
like actual years.
Okay, I tried. I'll ask a different question. I have another question actually. So,
Okay.
Please.
this is the first time that we've had a musical production on screen at Texas State, and that's a big thing. And I love musicals so much, and that's like where I started. That's how I started my art journey. I started in drawing, and then performative wise, I started singing, and then I got into acting, and it just kind of made me think like. I was curious because I remember you also took a vocal performance class at Texas State.
Yeah.
And are a great singer, by the way, which you should
well.
totally post more stuff like that.
Thank you.
Do you what is that story? Like, how long have you been like singing? Like, how long has vocal performance been a part of your life? And like, how has it motivated you throughout like your artistic journey?
Yeah, I've been singing as long as I can remember. Genuinely, I can't remember a time that wasn't a part of my life. That was my first dream ever, like being a kid and being like, oh, I want to be a singer. That's what I want to do. I want to be a singer and I want to perform. And I didn't have Disney Channel, okay? So I didn't watch any Disney stuff for a really long time until Netflix came out and then Disney stuff appeared on there. But I knew who Hannah Montana was, and I thought every celebrity was like Hannah Montana. I thought everyone had an alter ego. I didn't understand that like Hannah Montana, Miley Cyrus, that was like uncommon. So I was out here like, okay, I have to pick a name because I want to be a singer and I have to have a singer name. And I was practicing my signature because for some reason I chose Susie Margaret as a name. And I was practicing my signature as Susie Margaret but yeah, so singing has always been a thing. And that's what led me to do theater because I always knew I didn't like singing in front of people. I loved to do it by myself. And one of my earliest core memories is singing Jingle Bells in the house. Probably was not Christmas time just because I'm like that. And my parents applauded me because they were supportive parents raising a kid. Like, oh, like, good
Jingle
job.
Bells
You
by
sang a
Susie.
song.
Yeah.
And exactly, Susie Margaret's first exclusive. And I was so upset that they applauded me. I don't know why. I cannot explain to you what in my conscious brain was like, why would you applaud me? But I didn't like it. And I wish they would have ignored me. And after that, I made that decision. Okay, I'm never going to sing in front of people again. And then I did choir, I did stuff like that. But I never wanted to sing alone because I hated the attention that came with it. Yeah, I was like, don't look at me. I'm just trying to
Oh my
do something here.
gosh.
Don't actually look at me. So then I did theater because I was like, maybe that'll help me perform in front of people and I'll shed the fear. And that's not exactly what happened. I just ended up liking acting a lot. So then I did that for a long time.
Yeah.
And then, saw Stranger Things, was wondering what I was going to do with my life, and then decided to do film, which
There you go.
no regrets. Also love film. So it feels like I've just kind of collected different outlets and different mediums.
I was gonna say because from your earliest works to Office Break, now going from those music videos to Blue to Superbad to Children to now Office Break, I wanted to ask because those are very different genres and a good variety of subjects. Do you find that your writing process or creative process differ each time, or like is there like a through line? Like for example, like music is like my through line. If I can find the song, I can find the tone and I can write, and that creative process and pre-production is so easy for me. Do you have something like that, or is it different per project?
I think there's a general creative process that's the same, but developing every project is different. I think the creative process, there's always like the initial idea. And then when I'm writing, I do need to find music as well. I need to find music that I feel fits the universe, whether it feels like this is what the characters would be listening to, or if I saw this on screen, this is the type of music I would want to hear while watching what I'm writing. So I do need to have music playing, especially when I write. And it'll always ruin my Spotify Wrapped because I'll have a song as one of my top listened to songs. I'm like, guys, you don't understand. Like, it's not even like I like this song that much. It just fit the vibe. Anyway, but yeah, music for sure. And that helps me in the writing process. So with Office Break, I know there were songs I was listening to a lot, which right now, by the time this comes out to the public, there will be a different song in the credits. But as of right now, because it's not public, the credit song is Bluebird by Lana Del Rey. And I don't even listen to Lana Del Rey like that. I just came across the song and it was so beautiful to me. So, especially towards the end of the creative process of writing that and, kind of figuring out what's this going to look like, that song anchored me for a bit. So, I do think music as well is important.
I have a question because
Did you listen to music when you knitted?
if you had to
Oh boy.
work an office job, you had to work an office job, what do you think? Like, what would you?
Yeah.
Carter, you're losing your question privileges for the
What
next
do you
4
mean?
episodes.
How am I losing my question privileges? I'm asking the good questions here.
I want to go back to the content creator because that's the first time I'm hearing this.
Yeah.
What are you thinking like self-producing this, or are you getting a team, or is it like a big production? What is it like?
YouTuber.
Are you making a whole new account and then it's like being like, what's your plan with it?
Maybe a podcast?
Definitely a lone journey as of now, just because I feel so geographically far from the people that I would want to do things together with, unless, I don't know what the future holds. Maybe like in 2 weeks I meet somebody and we're like, bro, we just have to start making content together. But as of right now, I think it'll be just me. So nothing huge, not like a team of people, not anything huge. No podcast for me either, Nathan.
Superbad Kind of Good was a web series you made for the web series class at Texas State.
Yeah.
Have you ever considered making another web series?
Yes, I have. I've thought about it, and I would actually take the advice of the class this time, though. I did not do what the class was intended. So, for anyone listening, the web series class is intended for you to make something super low budget, like shoot on your phone. It does not have to be like high production value. And I didn't do that, and neither did some other people in the class because I wanted to have the experience of, I hadn't really directed anything up until that point, actually. So I wanted to have the experience of directing with a crew and having to, be on set with equipment I've never used. I wanted to have that experience because I didn't want the first time that I did that to be when I did take, a directing class and then made my first film and I had no idea what was going on. So I didn't do what the class was intended for. But I think if I did it again, I would, because it really doesn't matter. I've seen so many things where like I'm like, this is hilarious, or maybe this just really touched my heart. But usually it's comedy that like grabs my attention more, I think. So just seeing little things that you don't need to have anything special, as long as your story is special, then that's really all that matters. So I think I would. I also just think it adds another layer to be kind of funny when something is shot kind of poorly. I just think it's hilarious. So I'm like, why not? Because if I was gonna make a web series, it probably would be a comedy. I'm like, why not shoot it on a phone? It doesn't really matter. Like, I don't want to spend like half a year in post production because I'm a slow post person. If I'm in post, guys, you're not going to see me for a while. That's just who I am. But like, I don't know. I think I would do it something really light, but I have thought about it. It's not something that I think is my plan as of right now, but I wouldn't be closed off to the idea.
I got a great fun question to follow up with that, considering you talk about budget. If you could greenlight any project tomorrow with no budget restrictions, what story would you want to tell? What would you want to make?
I think that's a crazy question. Right now in my life, I don't think this is what the answer is supposed to be. Right now in my life, if I had unlimited budget, I could greenlight anything. I would want to record like an EP or like an album. I would want to do something music related and make that happen. Yeah.
I love that. That's great.
What kind of music?
That's a great question. Y'all know Richard. I asked Richard recently, I was like, can you help me figure this out? Like, I have this part of a song and I want to finish it and I cannot figure it out. And so he's helping me work on that.
Oh, cool.
But when I write, it is sad a lot. And I think it's just because that's when I write the most. I write the most when I'm upset. I don't write the most when I'm happy. When I'm happy, I'm very present in my life and I'm having a great time. And then when I'm really sad, I'm like, dang, I don't know what to do with this. Let me go sit
pencil
in the
to
corner
paper
and
right now.
Pencil to paper, actually. And so then a lot of the stuff that I write is sad, but I don't think I'm sad girl core. But I do think I don't think if I release like an EP, it would necessarily be categorized as like sad music, because I don't think it's like, it's not like Mitski where you're like sobbing on the floor and you're like actually like devastated. It's not like that, but it is a response to sadness most of the time. So I think in a way sad, but I do think it would be like very, especially for the first thing I ever put out into the world, acoustic vibes. I don't think it would be like a high production value of anything. Guitar. It would just be like, yeah.
Do you know how to play the piano and guitar? Do you know how to play instruments?
No. Oh. No, I have them.
But you'll learn.
I have them.
Hey, same here.
That's the goal. I've started learning both of those instruments and I never continued. So I have I know that it's in there. The beginner knowledge is in there in my brain, but I've never been really good at playing instruments. But I'm like, whatever. I don't need to be that good at it. As long as there's a chord in there, we're good.
Well, we're wrapping up here, but
to closer.
We don't want to keep you too long.
I got 3 rapid fire questions for you.
Rapid fire?
Yes.
I don't know if I can go that fast.
Careful.
Okay.
One of them's about knitting. No, I'm just kidding.
Favorite guilty pleasure movie or TV show?
Oh, yeah, Alvin and the Chipmunks. I love that movie. Alvin and the Chipmunks, great, underrated.
Dream actor or actress or singer-songwriter you'd love to work with one day?
I'm going to say Drew Starkey because I recently watched season 4 of Outer Banks and I think he's great. So Drew Starkey, I would love to work with him.
And then last question, best piece of filmmaking or theater or just any advice you've ever gotten?
Okay, I don't know if this is necessarily advice, but I guess what I took away, I think one thing that will always stick with me is my senior year of high school. We had senior showcase, which was not a real play, but just kind of a compilation of scenes and songs from different shows. And it was kind of your last hurrah if you were a senior in the theater program. And I think it was the day of our senior showcase. And we had already done the tech rehearsal the day before. And I had, I had 2 songs in it. And I had 1 solo song and 1 duet. And the solo song was Breathe from In the Heights. And the duet was Suddenly Seymour from Little Shop. I remember going to school and rehearsing my stuff at school the day of because I couldn't do it in my home because I knew my parents would be watching and I still had that thing of no one watch me. So rehearsed at school and I was talking to my director who I loved and his name was Kelly Hughes. Shout out Kelly Hughes. Love him. He was great. And he was talking to me about how I was a great auditioner. And that was the biggest backhand compliment I've ever received in my life because I never got cast as anything beyond ensemble, but I was always like a part of the callbacks, and I was always reading for all these major roles, and I never got any of them. So I was like, what the heck? But he was talking to me about how I was a great auditioner, and that was going to be, even though I never got cast in big roles, that was going to be good for me in the real world, because some people in high school, and he like started name dropping people, but I won't do that. But he was name dropping people, and he was like, these people, they're going to try to continue to do theater and art in the real world, and rejection's going to be really hard for them because they haven't experienced that. You have, so you'll be fine. I was like, oh, that's great. Crazy. So again, very backhanded compliment, but I feel like, I don't know, that in a way was somewhat validating, knowing that, okay, it's been years and I haven't gotten a major role. There's nothing I have to really show for myself, anything to put on paper, anything that, no stories to tell of these roles that I worked really hard to get and got, because I never got them. But he was basically telling me like about how I was a very strong performer and I was a very good auditioner, and sometimes the role just isn't right for you, and like even though you have a lot of rejection, just keep going. So I think that always stuck with me, of like keep going, I guess in a way. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
persevere.
know if that's, yeah, it wasn't necessarily advice more than it was what I just took away from that conversation. But yeah, it took away a lot of, okay, well, just got to keep going, and at least now I'm really good at getting rejected. So
Clearly it did stay with you,
see.
knocking out Office Break.
It did stay with me.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank
for doing this
you.
podcast.
Thank you,
and
thank
Yeah,
you.
thanks for
guest,
having
Marie.
me. Wow, I'm
Thank
so
you.
Hope
excited.
to see you in San Marcos sometime soon.
I'll pull up.
Yes.
I'll pull up eventually.
Yeah.
Yes, we all got to get grub. Got to get
Yeah.
grub.
Thank you very much. I know it's late, but thank you very much for joining.
Of course.
Hope to see you soon.
I'll see y'all soon, gang.
Thank you very much,
Bye.
Marie.
Bye.
Have a good night.
Bye.
That Marie Bargraser, man.
Marie's great.
So
Marie's
great.
great.
I love
She
her
was very
energy
nice.
and her vibe. It's just so
She's great.
so great to be around.
My favorite part about Marie is her persistence, and she kept going back to that. And I think that her ending story about you're a great auditioner thing, and that'll help you out, sums up her persistence.
I'm excited for
Yeah.
the content. I'm excited for
is.
the
Me
content, the
too.
short form stuff.
Are you eating? Are you eating right now?
I would look
Nathan?
over at Nathan, and he's just like, his mic's muted, and he's munching on that.
Oh,
he's
eating
eating
another chocolate
bar.
Is it the same
You
chocolate
were
bar?
eating it during it?
Well, she starts talking like the first answer to the first question. I look over, and his mic's muted, and he's just like,
anymore because you guys are all laughing at me, and
He just-
and I didn't.
Yeah, we're laughing at you justifiably because you're eating a chocolate bar during our interview.
wanted to have a little snack while I was listening to our guest.
Thank you for listening to the 86 That podcast. Make sure to stay up to date by following us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Instagram at 86 That podcast, where you can find episode highlights, exclusive bonus clips, and even the chance to ask questions to our future guests. We appreciate you tuning in and hope to see you in the next one.
This episode of 86 That is brought to you by Nanami Sushi Bar and Grill. If you're looking for the freshest sushi and authentic Japanese flavors just up the road in Austin, Nanami is a spot for you. From classic rolls to chef specials, it's perfect for a night out, a date night, or just treating yourself. They're family owned, passionate about quality, and we're proud to have them supporting the show. The next time you're craving sushi, head to Nanami Sushi Bar and Grill. You can check out their menu at nanamisushi.com and tell them 86 That sent you. Once again, thank you to Nanami Sushi Bar and Grill for sponsoring this episode.